Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all honor and glory to Hawa, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Ruach Kodash. A double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect, starting with the 144,000 governing body of the nation of Yashar Allah, and the men, women, children, the true believers, in the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. May He have mercy on you in these last days. It's your brother, I'm Nawa Allah, from the Cleveland Great Millstone Camp, coming back at you with another lesson, and Lord willing, will be edifying. And the name of this lesson was inspired by the book of Matthew, chapter 13, where I went through a study going over the wheat and the tares. And the precept that I'm going to build the lesson off of is Matthew 13 and 41. And from there, this has got a couple of precepts to show you what this, is going into, and Lord willing, will be edifying. Okay? And I don't want to make it long because this is really just edification, but also, first and foremost, is to remind myself of how we got to be aware of what really truly offends Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And so I'm going to read that precept first. It's Matthew chapter 13 and 41. And it says, the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. All things that offend. So when you think that on a deeper level, that's the doctrine of Babylon. That's the disrespect of the name Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai for those who choose to call on other names, other gods. That's idol worship. That's eating abominable foods. Pretty much everything that violates the law, and even so much more, those of us who know and continue to transgress and do things according to our own will. Okay? And obviously, them that do iniquity, where you can start with the other nations, the heathen and the top heathen, Most High's enemies, which would be the Edomites, but also who else? 2/3 of our own people who refuse to turn back to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. So it says, verse 42, and cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear. And that's going into the elect, because the sun shows then shall the righteous shine forth in the sun in the kingdom of their Father. And the righteous is the elect, those who were first of all, because again, this is going into wheat and the tares, so it's an Israelite, but it's an Israelite who was the elect from the foundation of the earth. Okay, but let's go back to verse 41. The Son of Man, we know the Son of Man is Yahweh Shai, right? Shall send forth his angels, and we know his angels is coming on a chariot, right? And it says, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend. So I want to look the word offend up first. I don't have it on my phone, so I don't have the actual the microphone. But I'm going to tell you the word is scandalon, and that's G4625. And it says the movable stick or trigger or a trap. It says a trap or snare, and any plate, Slaki. Let me get to the point. A stumbling block, occasion of stumbling, a rock which is a cause of stumbling. Okay, because truth be told, all things that offend is also going back to when you hear this word you get offended. You're gonna stumble. You may not understand these parables, okay? But the Lord is telling you he is the offense. He is the rock. And so because you couldn't hear the truth behind the scriptures, and you know who the Heavenly Father set up to rule over you, who his name should be, you know what you can and can't do, you stumble, and you become a reprobate. So you're gonna find out all the things that offend Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. In this current situation, in this kingdom, which is Esau kingdoms, everything offends Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. This is why he's going to take his elect, okay, and beam them up, just like this chariot you're looking at, and everybody else, including you 2/3, you're going to die with the tares, or you're going to die with the other nations. You're going to be burned. That's why he said they're going to go into the furnace, which is likened onto nuclear fire, and there should be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay? It says, figuratively applied to Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, I'm still reading what offend means. Whose person and career were so contrary to the expectation of the Jews concerning the Messiah, that they rejected him, and by their own obstinacy made shipwreck of their salvation. There you have it. Because you were offended in him, you are the offender. That's the best way for me to describe it. It says, any person or thing by which one is entrapped, drawn into error or sin. You see? So the Lord is telling you, let me read that again. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend. You become the offender because you are offended at Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's ways. And I'm going to read what the things that offend him. Okay? So now let's go. This is going to be quick. Let's go over to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse 9. It says, know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? It says, be not deceived. Why does it say be not deceived? Because people, the stuff that I'm going to read, they participate in these things because they're offended at the gospel when it said you couldn't do it. And so you do it. You do things of your own will. So you're likened onto a heathen now. So you're going to be gathered up because you're an offender, and you live a lifestyle that can't be a part of the kingdom to come. Okay? It says, know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Okay? And such were some of you, but ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Hamashiach, and by the Spirit of the Most High. So the Spirit of the Most High got to enter you. John 6:44, he's got to lead you back to Yahweh. And then now you got to eat the whole roll, repent, and Lord willing, instead of you being offended by the scriptures, you are afraid. You are learning. That's the Holy Spirit that enters in you. And ultimately, you're not an offender. You don't live an offensive lifestyle. Let me read this in the NLT real quick, and then I'm gonna go to the next scriptures. And like I said, this wasn't meant to be too long, cause we know what the Lord about to do to you niggas. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9 in the NLT. Don't you realize that those who do wrong will not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Don't fool yourselves. Again, Christianity gives you the impression, and they're the biggest offenders. Why? Because they offended in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua just by calling on Jesus alone. The information is out there. We know that's not his name. Calling the Yahweh Yahuwah, Yeshua, Yahweh. His name is Yahweh. He exists. His son's name is what? Yahweh Shai, the deliverer. Out of what? Out of the destruction. How? He's going to come on a chariot with his angels. And they're going to gather up the wheat. Who is the wheat? The elect. Okay? It says, and the rest will be what? Thrown into the fire. What fire? The nuclear destruction. It says, don't fool yourselves. Those who indulge in sexual sin or worship idols, serving other gods, being a homosexual. It says, or commit adultery. Or sexual sin is actually that actually could be bestiality as well. It says, or pedoism. It says, or male prostitutes, or practice homosexuality, or are thieves. Remember that. Thieves. Or greedy people, or drunkards, or abusive, or cheat people. None of these will inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Okay? So the Lord, those are things that offense, that has to be taken out and destroyed before the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Shah can be exalted. This is why, in order for the kingdom of heaven to be ushered in, America's got to be destroyed. And it's got to be through fire. This is Revelations chapter 21. And I'm going to start at verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all, Salaki. He that overcometh shall inherit all things. And I will be his power. And he shall be my son. So that's the elect again. Because they're going to overcome. They're going to endure. They're going to separate themselves as much as possible from things that offend. They're going to think opposite of that. Okay? They're going to constantly be in the scriptures wanting to remind themselves of all things that offend Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Right? It says, verse 8, Revelations 21 and 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers, here it is again, and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So how's that going to happen? Through the nuclear destruction. Okay? And who made the nuclear bombs? Well, it's the Spirit of the Lord that he put on these goddamn Edomites. And the Lord is going to use them to create a lake of fire right here in America. It's not going to just be America's shooting their nukes off, but Russia and all the other nations shooting their missiles here. And I know you people don't believe it, but that's because the Lord doesn't want you to believe it. So when the time of judgments come, you're going to know that a prophet was among you. You're going to know these men that were saying month after month, week after week, day after day, hour by hour, America's on his last leg. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is coming back to judge this place. And when it finally happens, then you will know. It says, so we got two precepts. 1 Corinthians 6 and 9, Revelations 21 and 8 gives you a list of things that offend. I got plenty more, but like I say, I didn't want to make this long. Just want to get straight to the point. Now let's see how the Lord is going to eliminate the things that offend. The scriptures don't lie. This is Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1 in the Amplified version. It says, again, I looked up and I saw a scroll flying in the air. And the angel said to me, what do you see? And I answered, I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits, 30 feet, and its width is 10 cubits, 15 feet. That's the chariot. That's probably what you would call the fathership. And I'm trying to give you a visual with this image right here. But it's going to be bigger than that. You will see this chariot when it cracked the sky. Okay? It says, verse 3, then he said unto me, this is the curse that is going over the face of the whole land. And that whole land is the planet Earth. All right? It says, for everyone who steals, that's something that offends. Who's the biggest thief on earth? The so-called white man, Esau Edom. He's a man stealer. He's a conqueror. He goes around conquering lands. He steals people's heritage, and then he say he's that nation. So that's the number one enemy of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, pursuing the Psalms chapter 83. It says, for everyone who steals will be cut off according to the writing on one side, and everyone who swears oaths falsely shall be cut off according to the writing on the other side. Swears oaths. Swears what? Make an oath on the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. 1 second. Then Revelations chapter 21 and 8 say, but the fearful and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the burn which burneth with fire and brimstone. And then I'm going to repeat it. It says, 1 Corinthians 6 and 9 again. Let me read that in the KJV because I want to hit a point. 1 Corinthians 6 and 9 again in the KJV. It says, know ye not the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, or extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High. These things you cannot be a participator of. And if you are, this is what's going to happen. This is this plague is like a ship that's going to be zapping people, if you should say. It's not coming here to just deliver the elect. It's coming here to fuck people up too. All that offend. This is verse 4. I will send out the curse, declares the Lord of hosts, and it will enter the house of the thief. And the house of the thief is America. Okay? And it says, and the house of one who swears falsely by my name. Who swears falsely by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua's name? Well, we can start with the heathen, okay? And we can start with the so-called white man, but your own people, our own people swear falsely by his name. By making oaths and swearing on let's say Jesus Christ, and or whatever the case may be. But also playing with the name, not fearing that name, taking that name in vain. The name is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And if you don't exalt that name, you will be judged ultimately. You're going to be judged because it's one more thing that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is going to remove. It's another component that offends. All right? It says, and I will spend the night in the house and consume it, both its timber and its stones. The only thing that can consume timber and stone is what? Fire. Let's see how he's going to do it. This will be the last precept. It says, Isaiah 54 and 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So the Lord created the smith. A modern day smith today is the scientist. And what do scientists do? They create weapons of mass destruction. They create vaccines. They create any killing instrument that's seen and unseen, lasers, but that's still all from the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It says, oh, that was it. Because, let me read that again. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth the instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. And I'm going to go ahead and end with this. This is one of my favorite precepts. So, what a waster destroys, and we're talking about fire, and the Lord said, I'm going to throw the tears or whatever in the fire, and he's telling you, I'm gonna remove everything that offends in my kingdom, right? And I gave you a list of all the things that offend, which is wicked. This is the last precept. Malachi 4:1. Well, behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Call Elohim Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, great millstone. Shalom.